Hello everyone, I'm Ethan Barry, co-creator of the Compression Thinking Series podcast, where you can learn how to reduce your waste and consumption, both as an individual as well as a member of a larger group, like a business.
And I'm Doc Hall, the co-founder of the Compression Institute, and over time put together 4 guidelines to compression thinking.
In the video you're about to watch, Doc sat down with Michigan school food expert Alisa Simpson to talk food waste, where the food we feed our kids in schools is coming from, and ultimately where it ends up. I think the answers might surprise you.
We'll talk about nutrition and food waste. Those are important parts of our overall overconsumption of resources. How can we improve nutrition and waste a lot less to do it, have healthier kids, and less waste? And so I hope you'll stick with us to the end, and we'll talk about how you too can join in conversations to help address the problems with waste where you are. You're with the public schools.
Yeah.
At Portage.
Portage is like down by Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Which is sort of like halfway between Detroit and Chicago.
Is.
You know where Kalamazoo is?
Sure.
Yeah. So we're like a college town, you know. So there's the Kalamazoo Promise, where they have made it so that they have tuition-free college if you move into a certain area. So we have one area here and one area here, where here there's a lot of money, here there's not a lot of money. And so that they literally area right next to each other, where they had people drift over here so that they could get free college. And they also get free food in their public schools. And then you have the Portage Public Schools, which tends to attract people with a little bit more money, but then they have to pay for their school funding, for their food, and they have to pay for their college education if they so choose.
Yeah,
so they're like right next to each other.
In the hole in between.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So that's what I deal with.
Familiar with that process.
Yeah, I bet you are.
I taught at the urban campus of the University of Indianapolis.
Oh, did you?
For 33 years.
What did you teach?
It was called Operations Management, the School of Business.
Oh.
So I don't have an environmental background at all.
So then what are you doing this for?
Because over time we began to notice that I was helping companies wreck things. What are we really doing? We coach them on how to become more efficient, but doing what? You're really into food service. You've been on the hands-on level too, I think.
Oh, I've been on the hands-on level, and then I've been in the management level part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I work for Chartwells, and Chartwells has very rigid standards, and we have an offer versus serve. So it is not mandatory for a child to, like when I went to school, I don't know about you, but it was a lady with a hairnet that went bam, bam, bam on your tray. You got...
No, we didn't do that. I'm too old.
You're too old? Well, I'm a lot older than you think I am. You got the mashed potatoes, you got the, and you were gone. Sure. You didn't get any choices. Oh. And now you get to choose, and kids throw away a ton of food, and that's where my passion is. It's very heartbreaking.
Food waste.
Food waste is enormous. And it's a real problem. It's a huge problem. But the problem really isn't the type of food. It's just children's eating habits. It's really not, people say, well, you don't supply them with the right kind of food, you don't supply them with good food, you don't supply them with this, you don't supply them with that. No, we put out the vegetables, we put out the fruit, we put out the variety, we put out the pretty, we put out the colorful, we put out and what do? They grab the easiest and they whip through the line. All they want is their pizza and they want what they eat at home, and that's where it all stems from, is what you're used to at home and you repeat it at school. And
well, you see the kids, just kind of roughly, what's the obesity rate?
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
It is everywhere. You notice it where you are.
Yeah, it's sad. And that doesn't help it.
And you aware that of on food crops in the U.S. The nutrient density has been dropping for about 50, 60 years consistently.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a huge concern.
Yeah. And so...
And the foods that they supply them with, a lot of them are, you know, foods that you get that are surplus from the government, you know, meats in bags and, you know.
Still get powdered milk?
No. But you get commodity foods, you know, and you don't get things that are grown on farms nearby that are supplied to you, you know. It's
you just don't get the fresh food.
And I would say in food service, though, I don't know about like where you're what you're studying, but in food service, I would say things that are alarming that besides that are things that you can control, like recycle waste. You know, that's alarming. That's just alarming. The cost for the school to recycle cans is getting so expensive that now that they don't want to do it.
You have to pay to have them recycled?
But yet, it's an enormous amount. It's just an enormous amount of cans that you have to recycle. And because it costs the school system so much, they're no longer interested.
Mostly aluminum cans, yes.
And then you just drive by landfills and...
Yes. So the cans are the most recycled consumer item.
Really?
And if you... So... the reason is there's a cost incentive to do it. Because it takes 5% of the energy to recycle it than it does to take it from bauxite ore all the way through. Clothing gets recycled other ways. You know, you take it to the thrift shop.
Dumped in different countries.
Worn several times. But a lot of clothing is thrown away too, in spite of all that.
And dumped in different countries. Wow.
Or dumped in the landfill. Something like 82 pounds per capita per year. But let's go back to the food. The kids don't want to eat the good stuff that you expose them to. They can get it, they don't want it. You got any idea how you could get them to want it?
Quite honestly, the price has a lot to do with what you put out. You know, like every day, it's cucumbers, it's carrots, it's radishes, it's celery, it's apples, it's oranges, it's grapes. There you go. 5 days a week. There's your choices. Oh, and there might be bananas every once in a while.
Bananas.
So what would you grab out of that? You'd grab fruit. Oh, and there's always one type of canned fruit in there. So if you were whipping through a line and you only had, 18 minutes to eat, what would you grab? Fruit. That's what they grab. They grab fruit.
Yeah, something's quick. They get 18 minutes?
They get like 18 minutes to eat. So they'll eat their main entree maybe if they're not talking too much, and they will grab fruit. Some will eat vegetables, some will, usually carrots. But that's just about it. They don't go any. And now if you get to middle school and high school, oh my word, the choices are, there's a bazillion. The main entrees, there's a bazillion main entrees, but the vegetables and the fruit hardly even get touched. That's the sad part. It's a huge sad. If you think about it at home, when you have a plate and what you put on your plate. It goes back to like when my mom served food, 3/4 of your plate was your main entree. You tried really hard to take as little of those dang green beans as you could, and the rest was mashed potatoes. That's basically what they're doing.
That's what the kids do.
Yeah, they just want the main entree and they want to skip out of there. Most people don't want to eat that stuff. But I will tell you, the school that I currently work in has the highest percentage in the entire school system of free and reduced children, and there's such a high need. It's a heartbreaking high need for kids to eat breakfast. We serve 150 kids every morning just to get them to eat breakfast in the morning.
What do they eat for breakfast?
Usually like cereal or a bar that's high in, we figure out the nutrients. We have to balance it. It's a government thing where you have to have all the wheat and the calories and it's all got to be pre-figured out. But they have to take fruit and cheese and milk and so at breakfast time they get a lot, but whether they eat it or not, there's a whole nother thing. But they all come through. It's amazing the need. There really is.
We've got two places where you can have waste. One is the stuff that you take back that wasn't picked up.
Yes, we do that.
And the other one is the stuff that was taken, not eaten, and it's scooped off the plate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, we just developed in the last couple of years, and it's up to the elementary buildings, but we developed baskets where if you don't want the food, that if it's like a banana where it's not been unpeeled, or if it's something in a package, you can put it in the basket, and if you're still hungry, you can come take it, and that's nice. Some schools won't let them do it. Some schools will. Some kids hoard it. Then you get phone calls from parents. Why is my child coming home with all this food? I don't want that. It's a weird process, but.
Well, yeah, and you got families with all kinds of attitudes about what the kids ought to eat.
In the summer, we have a summer feeding program, and I know that then they get stuff from the farmer's market. But on a continual basis in the wintertime, there's no way in Michigan you can get anything from a farmer's market. So if we were going to get anything through a farmer's market, it can only be in the summer. So we do get it when there is summer months, but there's nothing that we can get during the school year.
Summer feeding program is maybe they aren't pushed to eat in 18 minutes.
Summer feeding program is an incredible program.
Well,
it is.
18 minutes is very short.
Well, you do 6 lines. Think about the number of kids you're pushing through. I mean, we serve almost 300 kids.
Yeah, in 18 minutes.
No, in 6 lines at 18 minutes each.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once upon a year in the Army, I fed a battalion of almost 800 guys in 20 minutes.
Then you need to come work for food service.
That's no choice, you just walk by and boom.
Okay, so I was telling you about the hairnet and the boom boom, that was you.
That's the way you have to do it.
Exactly, no choices. That's what you're eating. Now, what is your whole report on, their study on?
Well, compression refers to 2 things. One is the big squeeze we're placing on the world's resources, both to obtain them and to throw them away. The second one is, if we're going to fix this, we got to squeeze us.
Yeah.
Food waste is a part of that.
Yeah, it is.
Because we probably have enough food, and we'll have enough in quantity. What's the quality of it? There's
a good question.
And we can drift off, say, the food companies. What do they do to induce kids to eat the way they do?
Packaging is huge. I can put 2 things right next to each other. They look identical. One is a package. They're both tall and slender. One is a bagel with cream cheese in it, and the other one is a breakfast bar that has chocolate chips in it. And the chocolate chip bar goes bam right out the door, and this bagel will sit there, and I'll have 20 left over. That's because it has sugar in it. They go, ooh, chocolate chips, because they think they're eating dessert. And the package is identical. They're both blue and white. And they're both the same size, same width, same height, same everything. And once they know that it has chocolate chips in it, yeah. So yeah, I think that's what they look for. They just look for something sweet. Yeah. Problem is that the U.S. government got involved and mandates what we can serve. And we can't go outside and say, you want to make some fig bars, and I source it out from you. Mm-hmm. It's got to be from approved vendors. It's got to be from people that, or from, we've got to have so much of this in it, so much of this in it, so much of this in it. Within a week, we have to figure out, all of our calories, our salt, our sugar, everything spread over an entire week. It takes all your vendors and just goes like that. to only what, so almost impossible, like in a 5-day period, to figure out 3 things you can serve for breakfast. Take, for instance, just cereal. To find a company that can make cereal that will meet those qualifications and serve them in this the size, the size that you have to serve for that age group according to the government. There's only like Kellogg's that will do that, or there's only this company that will do it. Boom, the market goes just like that, and that's all you have to serve. They figure it out, and they modify their food, and then they just narrow it in, and that's who everybody has to buy it from. You can't just, it's unfortunate. Now they make it so that you can't buy anything outside of the United States at all, fruits or vegetables wise, unless you fill out a form, saying that you didn't have any other choice but to buy it outside the United States because it wasn't available.
How do you get bananas?
Yeah. Think about every time that we order bananas, we have to fill out a paperwork saying that we couldn't get the bananas in the United States. Well, how stupid is that? We don't have bananas. In Michigan, we got some bananas growing right over here. But you have to fill out paperwork. Funny,
but
huh?
You could not get the bananas in Michigan. Could you have some kind of a program to coach the kids on nutrition?
And
Chartwell's
as a company does really, really good job of like doing fresh initiative stuff, and they change out their artwork and their posters, in the cafeterias to make them, interactive and like almost engaging for that age group, and like they try to, we do promotions where, you'll we have one in our kitchen where if you try something different that you've never had before and you try it in front of me because I cook, that I'll give you a tattoo of a cow. Oh, they think that that's way cool. So you got kids trying things like, radishes and, things that they say that they've never had before, and watch their little faces as a riot, so that they can get a tattoo. Of course, then they all figure you out, and everybody says they've never had a radish a day in their life, and now we got 62 tattoos walking out the door, but, it works for a little while.
Yeah. Maybe some of them read each day.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there are 82 radishes in 1 week, but they want a tattoo really bad. But they, and then we have big things like once a month where we'll make a great big basket, and we'll put nutritious snacks in it. And, if you eat hot lunch, every time you eat hot lunch, you get a ticket, put a ticket in a raffle, and then you win this thing. But does it teach them really to eat better? No, it just encourages them to eat. It just raises our numbers. Don't you think?
Well, yeah. No program you can devise is going to be 100%.
Yeah.
About what point, if kids are going to learn about nutrition in the public school, about what point does this start to be presented to them? So if they learn about vitamins and...
I don't know where that comes in. I think that comes in at home when you're taught how to eat. I mean, when the food's given to you. I think that, you don't eat chips at dinner, you don't do this, and I think that whole family thing is broken down so badly, that I don't think it's there anymore. And the idea of snacks in the classroom is somebody bringing in a bag of Doritos. It's not like it was where, all you could bring were apple slices and raisins and stuff. Everything's changed that way. Education, I don't know where that, I don't even know if it plays a part anymore in there. It should. It really should. That's a very good idea.
They don't.
Maybe they do, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not a teacher.
Well, and then you can coach people on nutrition, but that doesn't mean they're going to eat that way. And that's true of adults too.
Oh dear, yeah. You wouldn't want to see what's in my bag then, would you?
No.
I would be a very poor example right now.
Yeah.
I rode a bus 2 hours in the wrong direction, and I bought a snack.
Uh-huh.
I said, oh, I just want to go to the tea garden place. And I kept going because I was talking to somebody.
It illustrates the problem of nutrition for people that are on the run.
Yes, 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 yes. And that's a very good point. That's a very good point, because if you really think about it, that's probably where the food that the children have learned how to eat like that has stemmed from. And that's probably because the 18-minute lunch, it's on the run, boom, you're eating chicken nuggets, you're eating a hamburger, and that's the kind of food that's served at school, is hamburgers, hot dogs, chicken nuggets. You know, it's not sit down-ish type family food.
The 18 minutes is eating on the run.
Yeah, you're right. That isn't, because I remember when we were in elementary school, when we had lunch, we ate dinner type food, and you sat there a lot longer than that.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I remember.
Yeah, and it was much more, there was a hot vegetable, a side, and the regular food. Now there isn't any, none of that.
Well, and way back, in the Middle Ages when I was in school, you didn't have a choice. You took what they gave you, and that's all there was.
So yeah, I think you're right. I think you are right. It's the on the go mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, slowing people down and making it. Yeah, fast food has.
So they don't eat; they snack.
Yeah,
They graze.
that's a very important point. Yeah, I agree with that. That is, I guess I never thought about it that way. Here, all the time, I've always been concerned that they're not eating enough, when they're really not interested in eating. They're just interested more in grazing and just eating enough for the moment and not really filling themselves up. Yeah, well, the sad part is then you have these impoverished families, and you go home, and if all you've done is do a little grazing when you're at school, and then you go home and you are a growing boy like that, or a growing female, then what happens hormone level wise and growth wise, and your whole mental capacity to be able to learn is just kicked into high when you're young. And if you're not feeding that, that's a sad state of affairs. That's a very interesting. I'm going to take that back to work. I'm going to think about that.
Well, what would happen if the kids were, thoroughly exposed to nutrition education and kind of knew what was going on, that nutrition levels are dropping, blah, 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 that they had some facts in there to process.
At what age do you think that they would be able to handle that?
I don't know. I'm not in
I don't know
elementary
either.
education.
Me either.
Most of them, I suppose, would learn about their nutrition kind of by osmosis, a little bit here, a little bit there, and you get what you got.
We have a chef. We have a chef for Portage Public Schools that does caterings and works at buildings and does programs on the side to sort of make kids interested in food. I'll bet you that would be a idea to present to him, like on a large scale of getting kids together, like in an auditorium.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Well,
Make it a fun
try
thing.
It out.
Why not?
It's got to be a fun thing. You get
Why
to
not?
taste it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm growing up.
Oh,
something.
you know.
Want to try that?
We did when we had a grand opening of a new school. We had a chef come in that is on Food Network, and he came in and showed his knife skills. Yeah, okay. But on that kind of a platform, maybe you're right. Maybe an education about food by him. At home, I'm lucky enough to be able to get my fruits and vegetables from different sources, and I'm really lucky to get them from different sources. But then when you get them from schools and they're not, and the difference between them is enormous, you can tell where things are grown and how they're grown, and hot houses versus not hot houses and stuff like that. And my daughter is very into all of the whole climate change and how it's affecting, food, and she's a vegetarian. And so she's very She's very worried about that, and she's always telling me what not to eat, as far as, oh, you don't want to eat that, it's been modified, and and I have to say I'm probably more ignorant than I should be about that. But she tries desperately to sit down and get me to learn more about it. It's really changed. I can tell you, like, just in Michigan alone, it's changed. Apple production is totally different. Now we're right in the middle of beautiful blueberry country. It's a wonderful area. So we're blessed with a lot of fruit, but so much of our fruits and vegetables come from out of the country that it's really hard in the school system. That it's really hard for me to understand, how things are here, because I don't see anything in school systems that are from here. It's very hard to know how things are affected here. It's almost like I don't understand why we don't have more that comes from here, and how come everything comes from somewhere else.
It's amazing what solutions we can come up with when we engage in open, honest, and clear dialogue. In the conversation we just listened to, Doc and Alisa, for instance, came up with the idea of having hands-on nutritional learning for students starting as early as elementary school.
We didn't have enough time with Alisa to fully develop a dialogue about her problems with nutrition and food waste in the school program. And you need to map out the total situation before you start coming up with a point of entry to come up with some change mechanism to do things differently. That can be done.
Activists around the world are coming together to find new ways to fight back against the harms being done to our local ecosystems around the globe. You too can participate by joining in on our interactive teleconference series and becoming a part of the Compression Thinking Learning Network. You can also learn more by tuning into the Compression Thinking Series podcast, where we go in depth on some of the issues that we discussed here in this video.
If you join with us on some of these teleconferences, we will help you figure out how you can better address similar kinds of issues where you are.
Find out more by checking out our website, www.compression.org. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone, I'm Ethan Berry, host of the Compression Thinking Series podcast, and I've been working alongside Robert Doc Hall, co-founder of the Compression Institute, here at Wavemaker Recording Studios in San Antonio, Texas, to deliver this 12-part series, exploring some of the most pressing issues facing our planet today. We're just going to present the facts to people, show them our perspective, and then, after that, it's up to them.
The subject matter is quite interesting. I really care about the subject, which I haven't really heard discussed this way. So not only do I get to work on it, but I get to listen to each and every episode real time. So pretty cool.
Some of the topics we'll be discussing are: what is compression thinking? The earth is finite. Symbiotic thinking. Organized for learning. Quality over quantity. Deep change, cleaning, healthcare, lawns, fashion, transportation, and deep changing behavior. These are just some of the topics that we'll be discussing, but we'd really like to hear from all of you, our listeners.
Eventually, we'd like to get everybody involved in learning groups with compression thinking.
The implications are huge.